Hello and welcome back to Behind the Canvas. This is episode 5, and today I will be doing a water landscape. I said in one of my videos previously that I wanted to paint a little bit more abstract, move towards that direction. And I feel like painting water is a good exercise for that. It's both figurative and abstract. It's very difficult to paint, at least for me. I'll tell you at the end of the video whether I liked the result or not of this painting, but for now, let's get to the main process. And the first thing that I did here was paint the canvas yellow, because I felt like yellow really brightens the whole canvas quite a bit. And if I had started with blue, that would have given the whole composition and the whole painting a far darker light and vibe that I wanted it to have. I was trying to paint some really shallow waters. Actually, I'm not really sure if that still qualifies as shallow waters. I'm referring to exactly the point at the beach where basically where the waves break, and it was around golden hour, so that's why the choice of picking yellow over blue. And yeah, so I started with that, and then I moved into a very quick underlining or painting sketching. Sorry, that's what I meant. Sketching of the main points of the painting, which were the anchor points, which were just some stones, big stones that were popping up. And then I moved to the underpainting of the stones and then the water. I think it's super difficult. I just wanted to see how it could flow in the best way possible, so I used a ton of water in this case. I'm using water because my oil colors are water mixable, so that's really convenient. I don't have a big space to work with good ventilation, so water just works best, and it's a bit more convenient than using all the other chemicals that you would require with normal oils. Yeah, and so I just started using a ton of water and seeing what the paint would do. I really like how the paint started just dripping everywhere. I mean, after all, I'm painting water, using water, so it works really well. I think you can say that it's a bit more of a watercolor approach. And you should really try it. I really like when you start painting with really diluted layers of oil colors. It's just you end up creating certain effects and textures that they're very difficult to plan, and if you just start using the water, that takes care of it on its own. It's really nice. Yeah, so the first colors that I used were yellow and then red, and then I moved to blue just to mark certain areas of the painting where the waves or the shadows were a bit darker than the rest. Like I said, this is a painting that where I used a photo that I took during the golden hour, so everything is really intensely lit except for the bottom part of the painting that you can actually see that blue line that I made, which marks down that area where it's a bit more blue. Something quite challenging for me is to remember that even though I want to paint the water blue, that I should keep looking at the reference image and figure out which colors are actually the ones that I want to represent. Obviously, when you're painting a landscape with a lot of water, like the sea or something, I think our minds automatically go for blue, and I guess in most cases that would be correct. But if you're looking at, I guess, this picture in my case, when I was looking at this picture, I wasn't seeing much blue. It was mostly greens, yellows, reds, and that seems like a really simple detail, but it really can change how the painting looks quite dramatically. So if you just start thinking, okay, I'm just gonna use the blue for the water and then start painting it like that, you'll very quickly notice that you're changing the whole mood and the whole lighting of the scene and the whole everything. You have to be very careful because the blue that you're thinking or that you're looking at might be too dark or it might be too light, and you might discover that, okay, this really is far more different than my reference painting, picture or location. Anyway, I do use, as you can see in the video, a lot of blue in this lower part, but that's again because of the shadows that I was trying to paint. Now for the next bit, I stopped using the blue and focused on the middle part of the painting, which to me was the main focus. My reference image has very beautiful little waves, and you can see the little stones underneath the water and the ripples and everything, and you can see the light, and it's just so many colors and so many different lines and textures that I thought, okay, I want this to be the main focus. Obviously you have the big stone on the left side of the painting as an anchor point, I guess, but in my eyes the mid section of the painting, so what I'm painting right now on the screen, was the main subject of my painting. And yes, this upper part, I also wanted to give it a little more detail, but I quickly changed my mind actually, because I thought that the middle part already is very heavy on the waves, as you can see right now. And if I continue that heaviness and continue with that detail on the upper part and the lower part, it's just too much. And again, my original purpose was to try something that's a kind of like a mix of this more abstract subject and yet keeping it a little bit realistic. And again, super difficult to get out of that mindset of having to have every detail on the painting all the time. That's so difficult for me, obviously. So at some point I just stopped with the upper part and decided to jump a little bit more into refining the forms and the colors of the middle part, like I'm doing right now. And if you can see, now I changed to a very deep green, almost, or maybe with a bit of a red in there, because that's exactly what I was looking at. That's a really important thing to remember, to just keep looking at your reference and ask yourself what colors you actually need to use. It's not about what you think the object has as a color, like stone gray, or I don't know, some people say that the bark of a tree is just brown, some say it's just gray, and whatever, like those predetermined relationships between subject and color. You really need to, if you want to represent something accurately to how you're seeing it, then you really need to pay attention to what colors you actually need. Yes, so sorry, I keep mentioning that because I think it's super important. Sometimes I've had it before that some other people say, okay, I'm painting this and it looks okay, but it's not really what I'm looking at. Yeah, anyway. Now I focus on the stone a little bit more because I gave it much more detail, but the stone itself, I kept thinking, should I give it more detail? Should I leave it like this and just focus on the water? I was really unsure. Part of me thinks that it just looks really unfinished. It looks really a bit too abstract, and that's a little bit funny if I'm trying to go a little bit more in that direction. But at the same time, I wasn't sure that like I was going to have something on the painting that would be immediately recognizable, or that would allow the viewer to recognize something, because the rest of the painting is just waves, it's just water. There is no really easily recognizable shape. So that's why I left it unfinished right at this point, and then I continued to the lower part of the painting. Sometimes I just do that and it really helps. If I cannot figure out whether something is good or bad, then I just leave it and then move to something else. The lower part of the painting, for example, was really easy in that regard. I just needed to fill in the gaps and use a bit more of that deeper blue, some blue with white, that combination, and just paint it. I think that was much easier, and that allowed me to think a little bit more, to decide what to do with the stone. Now, while painting specifically this part of the painting, I really started thinking about one of my favorite artists, Joaquin Sorolla. He was the Spanish painter, and he was an absolute master at painting water. Well, he was a master at everything. I really like his style. And he actually went with big canvases to the beach, stayed there, and painted the water. And tried to capture the movement and the light as best as he could. And if you ever want to see how to paint water in a very good way, actually, a very colorful and playful way even, then just check out his work, because he has a ton of really good examples on how to paint water, and not just moving water, but also water bodies that are where some building is reflecting, or it's just really good. And I really like that he painted those things, at least some of those paintings of the beach that he has, while being at the beach. And unlike me, right now I'm using a photo, so it's really comfortable for me to just look at the reference and understand what's happening, because the water is not moving. I see those shapes and I can come to them and just revisit them and see them and understand them and try to imitate them. But when you're there on location and you're looking at the water, it just keeps changing. You cannot freeze it. And that is super difficult. That trains your eyes and your way of capturing movement in a way that a photo will never be able to, I think. Some of it is just, yeah, you have to go to the place, to the location, and just paint it. In my case, I don't have a beach nearby, and I think I'm too lazy, maybe, sometimes, I don't know, to pack the whole thing, so the whole canvases and the colors and the brushes and everything, then go to the location and stay there. It's a whole process. It's not just like, yeah, you also have to have the energy for that. And yeah, maybe at some point I should do that and really try that out with some water location. But this person, this master Sorolla, actually, he really enjoyed that and did that a lot. But you can see, I mean, I'm gonna put some of his paintings as reference on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, he's really good at it. This was a turning point for the whole painting process, because at this point I realized that I wasn't really painting what I was looking at. I was too focused on getting the colors right and getting the whole water subject right, that I forgot that there's actually stones underneath the water that you can see on the reference picture. And those lines are also very important to create the illusion of this really shallow water. So I guess I started getting frustrated with that, realizing that I wasn't getting in the right direction. So I I lost a bit of my confidence there and just started, yeah, using thicker paint layers, and yeah, didn't really turn out how I wanted, but it's okay. if you need to also have those moments where you paint something and you don't like it, so you can learn from it. If you're always painting everything perfect, there is no room for improvement, right? So yeah, this is one of those paintings for me. But having said that, this again, like this little corner where I'm painting at right now has a really nice texture, really nice flow. Looks really nice. I like those color combinations as well. I jumped ahead and skipped to more or less the final touches because there wasn't anything else really happening, and the final touches were more like those little light lines that you see, ripples or whatever they're called, I don't know, but they were very permanent in the reference picture, and again, somehow I didn't manage to really capture them. I feel like it ended up looking more like confetti or like some sort of strange line light illusion. I don't know. You can tell me whether you think this looks like water or not. I know that to me it does look like water, but it doesn't at all capture what I wanted to capture in the end. And in here I'm also doing something that I don't usually like, which is just adding a lot of white, because white really stains the rest of the colors. It's really like the pigment is really strong, and I don't know, then it gives it this fake quality, and it, let's say, cheapens down the rest of the color combinations. Anyway, I also decided to leave the upper part of the painting empty, and by that, kind of framing the middle part as the main subject. I think that was a good decision, and I think that was actually one of the few good decisions that I made along or through this painting, because it, in my eyes, it really works, and it centers down the. It's not as noisy anymore. I really feel like at some points you really need to ask yourself, okay, do I want to represent absolutely every single detail or not? Or should I leave like some areas unfinished so there is a little bit more of a space for you to breathe? And in this case, it was totally worth it. There is so much detail in the waves, on the waves, that you need to have something to rest your eyes on and like not feel like you're overwhelmed by detail. I also didn't work that much on the stones that were there, because I thought, again, the water surrounding it is just way too detailed. There's way too much going on. So I can say confidently that this is not one of my favorite paintings. It was, however, a good exercise for me to paint a little bit more abstract. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. And remember, well, first of all, thanks for watching, and remember to comment, like, and subscribe. And see you next time.